Can you name the 4 macromolecules? Can you tell me what carbohydrates are made of? Can you tell me what lipids are made of? Can you give me examples of polysaccharides? And can you give me examples of lipids? These are things you'll want to know. So the 4 macromolecules are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. What are carbohydrates made out of? They're made out of monosaccharides, simple sugars. And examples of polysaccharides would be chitin or peptidoglycan, glycogen, cellulose, starch. Examples of lipids were phospholipids, cholesterol and other steroids, triglycerides and waxes. And then we learned about proteins being made of amino acids, and a protein's shape is so important to its function, and that's determined by the first level, the order and how many and what amino acids are bound together. The second level was its folding into alpha helices and beta pleated sheets. The third level was the R groups forming bonds to fold this chain of amino acids into a specific shape. And then many proteins will have quaternary structure where more than one polypeptide chain comes together. At the end, we looked at the last video, we looked at DNA and RNA and said that DNA and RNA are nucleic acids made of nucleotides, and all nucleotides are made of sugar, phosphate, and nitrogenous base. If it's a DNA nucleotide, it's made of deoxyribose. If it's an RNA nucleotide, it's made of ribose. And their phosphates are the same, so no need to go in that. But their nitrogenous bases do differ. Generally speaking, nitrogenous bases are purines, like adenine and guanine, or pyrimides, single rings, like thymine, cytosine, and uracil. And DNA will be double-stranded, RNA is single-stranded, and DNA holds the recipe to make your proteins. And RNA can take that recipe, copy it, and change it into the actual product, the protein. And so that's what this last little short lecture is about, is protein synthesis. So protein synthesis, we're going to make protein, and we're going to use DNA and RNA and a ribosome to do that. And so what is, we've got to take this DNA, we're going to take RNA, which I mentioned is a single-stranded group of nucleotides. It is going to be the copy, or one type of RNA is the copy of our recipe. There are 3 major types of RNA. There's mRNA, or messenger RNA. That is the copy of the recipe, or a copy of the gene. tRNA, or transfer RNA, is what carries the amino acids to the ribosome to make the protein. So if we're using our analogy, the DNA was in my kitchen, and it is the recipe, the genes to make all these proteins. Messenger RNA is the copy of that recipe. tRNA is like you carrying sacks from Walmart or Brookshire's or wherever you shop and bringing in the ingredients to your kitchen, which is the ribosome. And then rRNA is ribosomal RNA. It makes up your kitchen. And so these 3, messenger, transfer, and ribosomal RNAs working together actually help make the final product, this protein. Now, ATP is an energy molecule. It is produced by your mitochondria in great amounts, and it stands for adenosine triphosphate. Tri, again, is 3, so we have our 3 phosphates here. These are those phosphate functional groups. Here is another sugar, and here is the nitrogenous base adenine. What sugar is this? This is ribose. So this is very closely related to an RNA nucleotide, except instead of just having one phosphate, it has 3. I really love this picture because if you take adenine, the ribose sugar, and one phosphate, we call that adenosine. Okay. And then add another phosphate, you have 2 phosphates, it's adenosine diphosphate. Add 3 and you have adenosine triphosphate. So if you want to go from adenosine triphosphate, ATP, to ADP, what do? You just remove a phosphate. And that's exactly how we use ATP, for energy. We release energy that's found in this bond between the terminal end phosphate, the 3rd phosphate, and the 2nd. So we're going to break that bond right there, and that allows the cell to do work. Speaking of cells, they are the fundamental unit of life. They are the basic unit of life. Anything below a cell is no longer considered living. Anything made of cells is. And cells are made of all these macromolecules coming together. And so, of course, there's carbon and hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and other atoms. And cells follow the basic laws of chemistry and physics as long as we're here on Earth. And cells are what produces your characteristics and your reactions and the products that makes one considered to be living. Now, for your test, you're going to need to know that there are 3 types of cells. There's bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Those are the domains we learned about. So bacteria and protozoa, they only have they're made of one cell. So every bacteria is one cell and every protozoa is one cell. And so we call them unicellular. Animals and plants have trillions of cells, and all cells have a few things in common. They're usually somewhat spherical, not always, or polygonal or cuboidal or cylindrical. They have some protoplasm inside the cell membrane. You've probably called that cytoplasm. We're not calling it cytoplasm here because cytoplasm by definition is anything outside the nucleus, and not all cells have one. They have chromosomes. So all cells have chromosomes that have this DNA, and they have ribosomes, little kitchens, to make proteins from the instructions from DNA. And cells are super complex. As I mentioned, we have eukaryotic cells. Those are animals, plants, fungi, protozoans. They do have a nucleus in these membrane-bound organelles that all have different functions that help the cell and the organism grow, take in nutrition, and metabolize it for life. Bacteria and archaea, they do not have a nucleus. They do not have membrane-bound organelles. They're still very complex. They're smaller than eukaryotic cells, and they can pretty much do everything eukaryotic cells can do, and even more. And that is the end of chapter 2. Told you it would be short. Make sure you do your study and learn these things. There's a lot here to remember.